Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we have some absolutely huge news to share with you, especially for those of you who are 62 years or older. If you've been waiting for your second round of Social Security checks to drop, then today is your lucky day. Yes, you heard that right today, a significant sum of money, up to $3,250, is being deposited directly into bank accounts for seniors across the United States. This is big news, especially considering the financial challenges many are facing in these times. And for those of you out there in the 62-plus age group, this deposit could be a real game changer in helping you manage your finances. But, we're not just talking about how much money is being deposited today, we're going to dive deeper into why this payment is going out, who exactly qualifies for it, and what it means for seniors living on fixed incomes. We'll cover everything you need to know about this crucial payment that is making its way to so many bank accounts today. We'll also discuss the why behind these checks and how this payment fits into a larger trend of financial relief programs that the government has rolled out for older Americans. Before we dive in, make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you haven't already. This is the kind of news you don't want to miss, and we're here to keep you updated on everything that affects your financial well-being. Alright, now let's get started. Alright, so let's start with the big question: what's actually happening today? The second round of Social Security checks for those 62 years old and older are being deposited into bank accounts as we speak. These payments, which many are referring to as a boost, are going to provide vital financial assistance to millions of senior citizens who rely on Social Security to make ends meet. And the amount? Well, it's a substantial one, up to $3,250 for some recipients. You heard that right, $3,250 could be landing in your account today. But, you may be wondering how that number is determined and who qualifies for this particular round of payments. Let's take a closer look at why this is happening in the first place. We all know that the cost of living has been rising steadily over the past few years. For seniors on fixed incomes, especially those who rely heavily on Social Security benefits, the increase in prices for essentials like food, housing, medical expenses, and transportation can be overwhelming. This rise in costs has forced many to make tough decisions about what they can and can't afford, and in some cases, it's meant making sacrifices when it comes to their daily needs. To counter this, the government has stepped in with a second round of payments for seniors, with the aim of easing the financial burden caused by inflation and the increasing costs of living. The government has been working to adjust Social Security benefits to keep up with the higher prices, and today's payment is a direct result of that effort. The total amount of these checks is intended to help seniors maintain their purchasing power and give them a better chance at covering basic expenses without worrying about how to make ends meet. The $3,250 amount isn't a random number either. This is part of a carefully designed plan to help seniors stay afloat financially, especially those who have worked most of their lives contributing to Social Security. The government uses a formula to determine how much each recipient should get based on their work history and their total lifetime earnings. This means that if you've worked for a longer period and paid into Social Security for many years, you're likely to see a larger payment. However, even if you haven't worked as long or had a lower income throughout your career, you will still receive some amount of financial assistance, and that's exactly what makes this program so important. Now, let's talk about who qualifies for this payment. As we mentioned earlier, this payment is specifically aimed at seniors who are 62 years old or older. However, just turning 62 doesn't automatically mean you're going to receive the full $3,250. To be eligible, you need to be enrolled in Social Security, and you also need to have paid into the system during your working years. Essentially, if you've worked and paid Social Security taxes for a significant amount of time, you are eligible for these benefits. The good news is that if you are currently receiving Social Security benefits and you're 62 or older, then chances are, you've already been receiving these payments. The second round is just another installment of what has already started coming in over the past few months. For those who are just getting started with Social Security or who have been hesitant to sign up for benefits, now is a good time to look into enrolling in the system so you can begin receiving these important payments. As for the actual amounts, let's go into more detail. The $3,250 figure represents the maximum possible amount a senior could receive, depending on their specific situation. This amount is typically reserved for those who have worked and paid into Social Security for the longest amount of time and have reached the appropriate age. However, the majority of recipients won't be seeing the full $3,250. The average Social Security check is often much lower than that, but even smaller payments are still incredibly helpful when it comes to covering necessary expenses. For example, some seniors might receive payments closer to $15 or $2,000, depending on their earnings history and the amount they contributed to Social Security throughout their working years. While the larger payments are great, it's important to note that even if you receive a smaller amount, this money is still crucial for managing everyday living costs. Whether it's covering the rent, buying groceries, or paying for medical expenses, Social Security checks are a lifeline for many. Now, let's talk about the timing of these payments. While we're focusing on the second round today, Social Security checks are typically distributed on a monthly basis, with different dates depending on when you were born. For example, Social Security payments are generally sent out according to a schedule based on your birth date, and they can be deposited either in the first, second, or third week of the month, depending on your situation. The second round payment is simply the next installment in the series of payments that are being sent out to seniors, with each round providing critical support. If you're anxiously waiting for your check to show up, you might be wondering when exactly you'll see the money in your bank account. Well, the short answer is, it could take anywhere from a few hours to a couple of business days for the payment to show up in your account. The exact timing will depend on your bank and its processing times. So if you don't see the deposit immediately, don't worry, it should be there soon. Just keep an eye on your account and be patient, and if it doesn't show up after a couple of days, you may want to contact the Social Security Administration for further assistance. But let's say you're one of those lucky folks who will receive the full $3,250. What can you do with that extra cash? For many seniors, this is a much-needed financial boost. It can go towards paying bills, handling medical costs, or even just putting some money aside for emergencies. If you've been struggling to make ends meet, this extra payment could be just the thing that helps you get by until your next deposit. The timing of this second round of Social Security payments is particularly significant given the economic challenges many people are facing. In addition to inflation, healthcare costs have been rising, and many seniors are feeling the strain of higher prices across the board. The payments are not just an effort to adjust to the higher cost of living, they are also a way for the government to show that they understand the struggles that seniors face and are committed to offering support during these difficult times. Of course, it's important to remember that Social Security payments are just one part of the equation when it comes to financial stability. Many seniors rely on other forms of income, such as pensions, retirement savings, or other government assistance programs, to help them stay afloat. But for those who are only receiving Social Security, this boost can make a huge difference in their quality of life. Whether it's alleviating financial stress or simply helping to pay for everyday needs, these checks are playing a critical role in supporting seniors during tough times. At the end of the day, if you're 62 or older and receiving Social Security, today is a big day. Whether you're receiving the full $3,250 or a smaller amount, it's money that can help make your life a little bit easier. And if you're not enrolled yet, there's still time to start the process and make sure you're getting the support you need. So, before we wrap up, here's what you should take away from today's news. The second round of Social Security checks is hitting bank accounts today, providing seniors with up to $3,250 to help with the rising costs of living. If you haven't received yours yet, don't panic, it will show up soon. And if you're not yet receiving Social Security, now is the perfect time to look into enrolling and ensuring you're not missing out on this crucial support. That's it for today's update. I hope you found this information helpful. If you did, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more updates, and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss a video. Also, feel free to leave any comments or questions down below, we'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, stay safe and take care. We'll see you in the next video.